This is transmission 31. As usual, we will go into a brief meditation, followed by the channeling session, and then followed by questions and answers. So let us take a few moments to allow ourselves to relax into this time-space coordinate, fully arriving in the here and now. And as we bring our awareness into the body, into this time-space coordinate, allowing ourselves to feel the breath and the vitality that animates this body. Allowing ourselves to recognize this intersection of time and space with our vitality, creating a highly unique point within the all that is, a unique experience, a unique perspective, a unique sense of knowing and perceiving the universe from this unique vantage point that is like no other vantage point in the entire universe. Thusly, we feel our uniqueness, our specialness. We feel that one unique vibration, frequency, note that we came to play in the grand symphony of life, knowing thusly that we belong. For all that is would not be all that it is without our unique vantage point, our unique frequency. Thusly, we are valued as a portion of all that is expressing itself in this unique manifestation that we know as ourselves. We are valued in this vast universe for the unique contribution, the unique note, the unique frequency, the unique perspective that we as individuals came to play. And thusly can we value ourselves. Thusly can we shine our light just a little bit brighter, a little bit stronger, so that we can be that unique part, that unique note, that unique frequency in all its splendor and glory and uniqueness. For no other can play this unique note. That is up to us, each and every one of us. Good day to you. We welcome you to these realms of light, where the vast majority of who you are also exists. We welcome you to these realms of light, from where your physical lives, your physical personalities, and your entire physical worlds also spring. As you are experiencing yourselves as these unique time-space coordinate points, these unique vantage points, understand that you are ensconced within a reality matrix based upon separation and segregation. Now, while these are mechanically negative manifestations, they are by each and every one of you being used in a very positive way. For you must first forget who you are before you can remember who you are from a very unique vantage point. Thusly, as you drop your frequency into this realm of separation and segregation, these mechanically negative states, these separative states, are precisely what give you the ability to experience yourself as the unique manifestations of all that is that you are. Thusly, paradoxically, when you embrace these separations, when you embrace the uniqueness, not only within yourself, but within the other beings who are having thusly such an experience, you allow yourself to remend yourselves back together and begin to perceive more of the wholeness. But now that wholeness is perceived from your unique vantage point, and this experience cannot be had in any other way, for you perceive the oneness and the all that is in the expansion of your consciousness from your unique vantage point. Thusly, you must first descend into the separation. You must go down in frequency. You must let go of this perception of connectedness and oneness, and dropping down further and further in frequency, you experience this sense of individuation in your unique way as your species, having often been labeled the masters of limitation, have mastered to a very, very efficient and high degree. For it is quite a challenge to convince your truth and your knowing in connection that you are in fact disconnected. Now, we refer to the experience of disconnection, for you can never be disconnected, but you have very masterfully designed your reality in such a way that you can have this experience of being so disconnected, and within that state then experiencing your unique vantage point. Now this is the age of awakening, thus that you are from within your silo, from within your unique perspective. It is as if you are burrowing down into the earth to such a degree that you can barely see the other beings around you, the other aspects of you. And you look upon your world from your unique silo, your unique cave, your unique perspective. But now in the age of awakening, you are coming out of the caves, coming out of your silos, and beginning to perceive a unified field of oneness which is always there, which you have so masterfully hidden from yourselves. So you are mending, you are coming together, you are remembering, reconnecting. And this is all part of the theme of exploration that you have signed up for. So relish both the light and the darkness. For understand that you have chosen to be in this field, this particular challenge, and challenging it is. For many of you experience a deep sense of longing and loss. For you inherently know that you are a part of everything, that you are connected to all that is, and yet overlaid on top of that, as it were, is this experience of immense and tremendous separation and segregation from the all that is. And that can give rise to many emotional states which reflect this sense of disconnection. And many of you, when you drop into the physical realm, experience a tremendous sense of loss, by definition. Now, as you move about your physical life, you have passed through many gateways of amnesia to thusly and masterfully forget the true nature of who you are. Now, as the younger generations are coming in, they are not passing through quite so many gateways of amnesia. They are passing through different gateways that allow them to remember more of who they are. As they drop into your field, they don't drop quite so low in the frequency. Thus, the younger generations are the ones that will help you to accelerate your transformational age upon your world. Now we have labeled your particular generation or generations as the bridge generations. For many of you have experienced much of the separation that we speak of, and yet are now also bridging to touch into those areas of remembering and reconnecting. Thusly, as that bridge generation, you are experiencing a highly, highly unique transformational experience. Now, with its challenges, with its moments of feeling that immense sense of loss and separation, but also within that experience, punctuated into it, are those moments of glorious recognition of who you truly are, those glorious moments of awakening, those glimpses of enlightenment, as you might say in your colloquial language. And this is very much part of what you signed up for this contrast, for this ability to move from this immense sense of separation into this immense sense of remembrance. Now imagine what a joyful celebration it is, and it will be, when more and more of you begin to step into your truth, into your light. For having passed through the darkness, so too can you appreciate the coming into the light. So then can you have that experience of the dawn after the great long night and so much darkness upon your world. Now, as it were, in these final stages of transformation of this particular unique chapter, shall we say, much is being brought to the surface, put on the table. So understand that one permission slip you can use is to begin to play with this idea of each and every individual upon your world being in their own unique silo, in their own unique cave. And thusly, as you sometimes say, with the terminology of going down rabbit holes, so can each individual person upon your world develop a highly unique perspective of what is happening, what is going on. And thusly look upon your fellows not as having different points of view, as being on the other side, or perhaps on the same side if your views are similar enough, but rather have more compassion for your fellows, especially those of different societal perspectives, political perspectives. Understand that they too are having a highly unique experience. Some fellows being a little more ensconced in the negativity and the separation, segregation, having bought into perhaps a few more negative beliefs. Have compassion, because that is the frequency of integration which will lift you out of your own silo just a little bit more, propel you to be more unified and to see the unification underneath and inherent within all the beings that share these unique perspectives. Thusly, a marker of your transformation is when you hear different points of view, perhaps even by your definitions, opposing points of view, that you can remain centered in your heart, centered in your compassion. For you can understand that no one's perspective can truly impinge upon your own, and thusly can you give others the ability to, the freedom to be creating whatever experience is true for them. Now this unification, this frequency will rise you out of your silo a little bit higher, making the sense of unification even more easy. But this is something to be remembered, something to be practiced. If you find yourself being triggered by the perspectives of others, then that is a good indication that you have fallen into the spell, into the illusion of separation and segregation. And thus such a frequency will perpetuate itself. And you of course have the freedom, just like all your fellows have the freedom to express themselves positively or negatively, mechanically speaking. So you have the freedom to continue in any negative spiral. You have the freedom to even lower your frequency. For not every single being is on the same trajectory of unification. And thusly, as you shift from reality to reality, as you hop across from lily pad to lily pad, as you move from frame to frame in your multi-dimensional film strip, there are choices that are being made. And some fellows will choose realities that go in perhaps a little bit of a darker direction. They are choosing to perform in a play that has perhaps a little bit of a darker outcome. Now, that is not to be judged as much as it is to be simply understood, as everyone has a different theme to explore, and you weave in and out of each other's lives, like strands weaving in and out, creating this wondrous multi-dimensional tapestry, whereby some portions of it will experience exalted light, other portions a little bit more darkness, and everything in between, every shade of grey and color. Thusly, allow yourself to gravitate towards those frequencies that are in keeping with what you prefer to experience, and understand that always the frequencies of unification and staying centered and in your heart, regardless of what the outside circumstances may be, that is precisely what will propel you forward and towards those places within the weave, within the multidimensional tapestry, whereby beings of like mind and heart are choosing to co-create experiences of light and expansion, which by definition will include the awareness of the darkness, but you will also have the capacity to choose the light, for within the light is awareness, and precisely the awareness of choice, the choices that you have. Whereas within the darker shades, you will find that while you have choice, the choices seem to be more automatic, for the choices have been given to experience more amnesia, to experience a sense of life happening to you. It is the difference between a regular dream, where seemingly random experiences seem to happen to you, and a lucid dream experience whereby you find yourself realizing that you are a co-creator and that you choose, and that your choices are reflected, that you have agency, that you have power, that you have choice. So allow yourself to move in that preferred direction without necessarily choosing the negative states of resistance to your fellows, and understand that the more compassion and the more groundedness and trust you have in the way your own life unfolds, so too can you extend that grace and trust to others, trusting that their lives are unfolding in precisely the way that is in keeping with their theme of exploration and the beliefs and the realities they are choosing to entertain. So that will be our transmission for today. And at this time then we will ask if there are any questions, and please remember to unmute your technology so that your question can be heard and received.
Hello, Illi. I have a question.
Very good.
First of all, thank you for all your co-creating with your channel. I've appreciated every one of the transmissions and have learned much from them, as well as the questions asked by the students that were participating. So thank you for that.
You're most welcome.
I have a problem with what you're discussing today. I have an issue with myself in that I want to help someone and I want to help them. And I know that I should not have any insistence on the outcome, but I find it hard to hold back. I still want to help them. And it relieves a little bit of pressure on my mind that I know I shouldn't have any insistence on the outcome, but it still pains me not to be able to hurt them. But any suggestions for that?
Yes. Now, this is a very good question for your world, because many of you who gravitate towards these kinds of teachings also within your heart carry the frequency of desiring not only to help yourselves, but to help your fellow human beings. Now, the least resistive way to do so is, first of all, to, as you say in your world, teach by example. Be the radiant light that you wish to help others to be. Thusly, be a teacher by example. And as you radiate this light, as you act on your passion, as you ground more energy of your higher self, your soul, your oversoul into this dimension, so too do you radiate a light and a frequency, and you put that out. And then others become curious as to what you are doing to be so radiant. Now, this will be a natural sorting process, because some individuals experiencing the shift and the change and the light and the higher frequency will actually gravitate away from it, because they are perhaps not yet ready in their theme, or perhaps their negative beliefs are telling them that they are not worthy of such light or interaction with such a being. Now, others will be gravitating towards you precisely because their theme of exploration involves moving much more dramatically towards the light, and their beliefs are open just enough. There's just enough curiosity to move towards that light and to become curious, to ask questions. What are you doing that things seem to be flowing for you? Synchronicities seem to be flowing for you. How is it that you might experience what others label as negative events, and yet you are moving through it very easily and gracefully? And that becomes the teaching moment. Now, the individuals in your life, let us come at it this way. When you feel very excited to share something, by all means share it. But understand that as soon as you so astutely mentioned, insistence comes into the picture, now you know you are pushing a kind of agenda, and then ask yourself whether you really need this person to accept what you are teaching in order to validate yourself, perhaps. Because the truth needs no defense in the sense that the truth will always be the truth. Let's see, if you find that sense, that edge of insistence, of resistance, then ask yourself if you are fully believing and buying into the truth that you are attempting to profess. Now, as we provide these transmissions, we put these frequencies out there, and we really, this is our passion, this is our joy. We, to put it in colloquial terms, don't hang a hat on whether anybody listens to it or not. We are simply being our true natural selves. We are radiating this frequency. This frequency is being transmitted. And whether none of you, one of you, or hundreds of you listen and use this or not, it does not really matter, because that is none of our business. That is your free will and your choice, and we love you unconditionally. Thusly, every choice that you make, we love you regardless. It is unconditional. Thusly, when you find yourself becoming conditional in your flow of this energy based on whether other people respond or not, then ask yourself, what is going on inside of you? Where is that resistance coming from? Do you need somebody else to come on board, as it were, to validate your beliefs, to shore up your sense of connectedness? Or can you simply radiate this light regardless of what outside circumstances do? Can you radiate it unconditionally, without conditions, whether your fellows see it or not, respond or not? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It gives me a lot to work with, and it makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Now, a little question, kind of off topic a little bit, but I was wondering about volcanoes and things like Yellowstone National Park. Do they have any any significance or interest to ETs at all? Are there any energy sources at volcanoes?
We are not sure we understand the question.
Well, I'm not surprised. I know I'm not communicating it very well. I was just wondering that there are certain energy points on Earth. I was just wondering if things like volcanoes were a part of those energy sources for ETs.
So you are asking if extraterrestrial entities utilize the energy of volcanoes in some unique way?
Yes.
Very interesting question. Now, the most commonly used, shall we say, would be the electromagnetic fields of the Earth, which can be, in a manner of speaking, used to navigate and glide through, not only physically on your world, but also as portals to other dimensions or other parallel Earths, other parallel realities. So it would be more the geomagnetic, electromagnetic lines and grids and fields of the Earth that would be utilized. Now your world will also learn to utilize these fields as your technology advances. Of course, your technology advances because your consciousness, you allow more of that consciousness to bleed into your physical reality, and then reflected, that will be rendered into your particular theme of exploration, which is technology. Now, certain cultures have been able to and are able to utilize these points and lines and fields and grids of the Earth without technology, simply through an acute sense of sensitivity and being able, thusly, to navigate through these fields and into other parallel realities, parallel dimensions. Now, much awaits for your civilization, for you believe that you have truly mapped your world, and yet you have mapped but one surface layer of reality. There are many layers of reality to your Earth, many dimensions ensconced in between and within the Earth. And you will, partially through technology, partially through direct consciousness, begin to discover how, in fact, how little you know of your own very own world, your own planet. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And that brings up another question about our planet for me. Today I'm wearing my political t-shirts. One says, Sir David Attenborough for leader of Earth. And the other one reads, Salmon and Steelhead have been on Earth for millions of years, and man has managed to almost make them extinct in less than 100 years. I guess I get frustrated with human beings and what we're doing to Earth. Like you said before about helping people, I know I need to be the example and shine my light, but what else can we do to help save the Earth?
The first understanding here would be that you do not save any particular version of Earth. You shift your frequency and allow yourself to shift to the version of Earth whereby that is reflected in that version of Earth. That's you, in a manner of speaking, to use the colloquialism, you don't save the Earth, you save yourself. When you shift your frequency, you shift to that version that matches that frequency. Now, one of the effects of shifting your frequency will, of course, be action. As you act, you ground more of the higher dimensional frequency through you. Thusly, there's a saying in the world, live as if the revolution has already occurred. In the manner of speaking, when you live in that higher vibration, you will naturally act in a way that is reflective of the version of Earth you prefer to live on. And thusly, that will flow into some kind of action, and let that be an action of your passion. Now, when you find yourself pushing against the way the world is, then you have to come back to yourself and look at yourself and ask yourself that question, what am I pushing against? And am I trusting the way my life unfolds, the way the timing unfolds? And if I'm feeling resistance, do I have a belief in there that says, my fellows will never change and I will never be able to make a difference? You see, that is reflective of your own belief matrix. Thusly, act in keeping with your passion, your joy, and understand that the way you flow your true energy through passion into the world will be precisely the most transformative act that you can do. Thusly, pushing against in a direction that seems perhaps politically appropriate, you might expend a lot of action but meet a lot of resistance. Now, it is true that for some that is their joy and their passion, but the world being inherently interconnected, sometimes something as simple as creating a work of art, perhaps a song, perhaps some form of expression, perhaps shifting into different kinds of activity that are truly in alignment with your passion, can be much more transformative than doing work that is, quote unquote, directly related to your area of concern. And we hope that translates into your language. One person truly grounding their soul's energy in the world is much more transformative than any amount of individuals that are simply resisting and pushing against the way things are. Because a resistive frequency simply begets more resistance. Now, to come at it at another angle, there was a person in the world that said something to the effect of, do not attempt to change the systems in your world, but simply build systems that are more in alignment with who you are, your truth, that would render the old systems obsolete. So the idea is, rather than pushing against the old system, build the new system. Be it a system of expression, a system of exchange, a system of economics, a system of true artistic expression, even a reflection of technology. You must tap into these higher dimensional frequencies and translate them so that you build those new systems that will render the old systems obsolete. And that is precisely why acting on your passion is so transformative, and pushing against that which is simply entrenches the system that is and creates resistance and counter-resistance, and you don't seem to get anywhere that way. Does that make sense?
It does. I still get frustrated. I work on my area of creativity and have great joy with that, but I still have a love for fishing and am concerned that there's not going to be any fish left in the future. So let me ask this question and see what you say. But salmon and steelhead on the U.S. West Coast are about gone. They're just about extinct. What is the probable future for these fish?
There are, of course, many probable futures, and we cannot give a specific prediction because everything is in flux. There is a version of Earth where you utterly destroy yourselves, so let's put that on the table first. Now, those of you who are reaching for this higher consciousness, grounding this higher consciousness, you are not gravitating towards that version of Earth. But that version is there. It is one of the probable outcomes, and all kinds of variations and shades of that, through environmental destruction, through warfare, through cosmic agency, shall we say. Different versions of destruction, even as your world in the past has gone through mass extinction events. However, those of you that are tuning into these kinds of frequencies are shifting through the parallel reality matrix in such a way that you're moving towards those versions of Earth that are learning the lessons in milder ways and shifting your focus in such a way that you're navigating through the lessons, thusly in a milder way, where you don't have to experience so much doom and gloom, so much shakeups and breakups. So, and everything in between. There are versions of Earth that literally transform Earth into heaven. And there are versions of Earth that utterly destroy themselves, and everything in between. You see, all that is infinite. Thusly, all parallel realities and all versions must be explored to their utmost, because all that is, by definition, is all that is. Every variation is valid within that. Now, if you find yourself in a state of trepidation about your environment, then by all means make the changes, first of all, within yourself. That would align you more with a sustainable presence upon the earth. But also trust the way your life unfolds. You might move in a direction that seems unrelated, but as long as it is the true grounding of your soul's energy into this earth, you know that you will be shifting through the frames, through the reality frames, whereby that will be less and less of a probability that you will experience the loss of much of your habitats and natural world. So allow yourself to surf the currents and trust more in how your life is unfolding. We know that is a broad answer, but it is the place to begin. And when you move into that vibrational frequency, the local actions, shall we say, will become more apparent. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's very helpful. And I'll try and lighten things up a little bit with this last question. It's in regards to one of your transmissions. In one of those transmissions, I saw a UFO come up and disappear behind your channel's head. And so I was wondering, which transmission was that? I'd like to go back and look at that again.
It is entirely possible that that was something that you perceived just in that moment as a kind of reflective synchronicity. So we will leave that for you to investigate if you so desire. But sometimes you perceive things, whether in your night sky or sometimes even through your technology, things that seem to be not really there. And so sometimes you give yourselves these reflective clues and signposts, as it were. Many of you are very commonly using number synchronicities to let you know that you are tapping into something, some kind of synchronicity. Others of you will perceive energy manifestations in your natural world, in your technological world, things that tickle their brain a little bit, things that seem to be a little bit out of sync, shall we say, with your normal prescribed reality experience. And that sparks within you a sense of curiosity. And curiosity is precisely the frequency that allows you to expand beyond the reality bubble that you have defined yourselves to be. So rather than researching for the phenomena or wanting more of that kind of phenomena to occur, tap into that frequency of curiosity and bring that into your life and come into all of these questions with curiosity rather than simply buying into the reality as it is presented face value for that is but one version of reality, and there are many layers of reality. So allow that curiosity to pierce the bubble a little bit, to open you up, to help you to realize that there is more than the bubble that you seem to be perceiving at this time. Does that make sense?
Yes, as usual, you've given me plenty to think about again. Thank you.
Very good. And thusly we appreciate very much this question and answer session. And we will now take a few moments to anchor in these vibrational frequencies, for they are coming to you in many ways. And even as just demonstrated, for some of you it will be visual, for others of you auditory. But beyond the verbal spoken language are vibrational frequencies that are being transmitted and received by you, whether you are present in this time-space coordinate or listening to a recording. These vibrations are available. So allow them to reverberate within you, and understand that this frequency is given at many, many levels. And seeds are being planted that will not only sprout while you listen, they may sprout for and within other time-space coordinates, perhaps in other states of consciousness, in your dream time, in your daydreams, and so on. So we thank you much for being present, for being here. And with that, we will wish you a beautiful, glorious, and a fond good day. Well, all right. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.